Here we go. Um, Please forgive me if I'm cautious when I pick a fight. I've seen hell slim in the eyes. Blue bags packed with plus far too heavy to board the flight. See the skies. Muggy waters do the gas refine. Digging deeper only builds divides. Echo chambers filled with half-truths told through handheld device. Playing games on these telephones. Hot taste with poor taste cause thoughtfulness usually takes some time. But we don't got that attention span of a pecking hen except when it's time to clap back. Now we're all in. Cha-cha for our side before then. We
All
were
right.
Casper. So-called
Nevi Outlier. Ooh.
Hello.
Let's get it started. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's go. Before we jump into the
All right,
music,
cool.
I want to know where it all started, little Nevi came from, all that good stuff.
So I'm from Norwalk, California. Moved out there when I was about 7. And then I started kind of rambling in one of my classes. I think it was like middle school was like kind of one of those eras where I could realize I was doing something. I started writing poetry when I was around 7. But I like freestyle, but like not really freestyle. In like one of my history classes when I was a kid. And then at some point I started writing. I think that was around like age like 13. I was in a geometry class, and the way my school was set up at that point was we'd have like these block classes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like the block schedule. So that means on like Tuesday you go to certain classes, and then on Monday it's a different set of classes. And so those classes were long as fuck, and I'd get my homework done. And so you'd have all this free time. So I would just like write raps and then kind of tour around the class and just showing everybody. Not necessarily rapping out
Cool.
loud
You're
because
like,
my cadence
I'm
was
just
trash.
gonna rap to you right now.
yeah. I was just like, they felt stupid, and I wanted to share them because I kind of liked how humorous they were. And so I just bugged the shit out of everybody else with like the raps that I wrote, and my teacher would like start stealing my raps away so I could actually do my homework. But like, and then from that point, like I started rapping at my church for a little bit prior to my new revolution as a human. But rapped at church, and then once I got to college, hit the open mics and did a bunch of those. Tried to put out a project, failed, and then graduated and did it again, but succeeded this time, with the same group of people. And now we're kind of here. So it's just kind of this up and down journey of like trying to create and find the right people to create with, and recording as often as possible with those good people, always leaning on community to try to get where I wanted to go. So.
Okay. And you've got a whole group with you that performs. Or that makes the music, or are you the main performer?
So I feel like it's somewhat of a I wouldn't call us a crew necessarily, but yeah, there's a bunch of guys who I collaborate with often, and have kind of grown accustomed to singing along, like just being in the scene. So some of those guys would be like Barry Juice, Eric Dark, Huggy Does It, Sabi, Hiram Torres, Mitchell James. I kind of just fell upon them in going to one of my cousin's a rapper as well. His name's Conso. He played here as well.
I saw him, met
That's
him.
my guy.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so good, so good. One of the best
Love
rappers I
his
know.
style.
His voice is phenomenal. But back in like top end of 2021, he had a show because he just dropped the album, and I go to the show, and to be transparent, I saw everybody who was performing besides like a couple of them, and I was like, this is so poorly put together. This the artists aren't that good. And so it kind of re-inspired me to focus on crafting what I knew I could do, especially coming from school where I was already doing a bunch of curating and throwing shows, as well as rapping. And so I was like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna do this shit myself. So like,
Yeah.
he plays. Probably like the next week I started getting back in the studio, recording my album that I was like writing all the time with just a bunch of BeatStar shit. And then just kind of hit the ground running. But in that, I met a lot of people without telling them that I rapped. I was just like being outside supporting people, and so built some connections. And then I threw my first show, and then they see I'm rapping, and they see like what I can do, and then like we just kind of kept growing from there. And I think I have like a decent like imprint on the greater IE/LA scene of like the real underground that knows me and sees what I can do and respect me for what I can do. So
yeah, and you also curate shows here too.
Yes.
So that kind of helps build your community a little bit too.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that? Like wanting to throw? Well, obviously got inspired because your shows weren't very good. You were going to, so you're like, "F that, I can do this myself."
I think part of it is like in going to a lot of those shows and trying to get on, and knowing what I could do. It was really frustrating not to be able to. Nobody would validate me when I said, "Oh, I can rap or I can do this." Nobody let me on the stage.
I feel like that happens a lot though, especially as a singer. They're like, "Oh, you're like, oh, I can sing," and they're like, "Oh, that's cute.
It's cute.
That's nice.
It's
for
cute,
you."
and I respect it because as a curator, I feel the same way. Like,
right? It's
I'm like,
hard. It's hard to take people seriously because I feel like every other person's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a musician. I do music."
what does that even mean?
It's getting yourself. But you're like, no, but really, for real, like
for real. Like, I'm really about this.
You want to bust out like your Spotify and be like, no, really,
really. Like I work really hard
so
at this.
hard.
I'm a great performer. Yeah. Like, and there's not too many people who take that part of the craft as serious. So it's frustrating, and I get where people are coming from when they are saying like, oh, nobody's letting me on the stage. Yeah. So then I start like, and I've heard that story. It's common. Like I've hit a bunch of open mics and even at an open mic didn't have the ability to get on the stage. Like, and it was so frustrating for me. Like to do that, or like there's some underground rap showcases that were like somewhat valid in LA, and I'd be like, all right, cool, here's my project. I already know what I can do. I get tapped in with the people who run it. I'm like volunteering. I'm behind the scenes. Still didn't get on the stage.
Still not on the stage. So trying to bust down that door.
Bust down the door. And I thought the best way to do it was to just be genuine and put in the work. And then sooner or later, somebody's going to see me and want to see me in a position of power. And I mean, one of those guys encouraged me to throw shows myself, and that was helpful. But they also didn't let me on the stage until after I had done so much work that they had to. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like that when you go into a job interview and they're like, oh, but I see you have no experience. You're like, I need to get the job to get the experience.
Yeah.
It's trying to break that stigma. Like, I wish that, more people would give you a chance.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, cool. Let me on the stage. Let me show you what I can do.
Exactly.
I can really do this.
Exactly.
It's gonna happen.
I hope so.
That door's gonna bust open. You're gonna have that little spark, that little moment where you're gonna be like, oh hell, this is it. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the floodgates to open.
It will.
I want them to, and I think it's a part. Like, I think part of the journey is just the no's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it is,
and the frustration. Like, if I think about where I was last year, and throwing the shows at XZBT at the previous venue, and then to be where I am right now, and to see kind of like the changes in my mentality, some of my naivety, and like I've just grown so much. I've learned so many different things, and I think that's necessary. And last year I was just broke. Now I'm not broke. So like that also changes the impact of whatever you're doing.
100%. Because you're able to go in and record things, or pay for studio time, pay for stage time. Because I mean, a lot of places in LA it's pay to play.
Exactly, and I've never done
hard.
that. I've never. From what I can think of, I don't think I've ever paid to play. Like, I've always finessed the system and had my friends find our way in the door and leverage our community in that way. So it's kind of, it's a trip to see that's like most of the game.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's most of the game. Like, and you have to find ways to like get people to like, I don't know, just support you too. That's the other thing about pay to play and even just like selling tickets, right? You have to find ways to leverage your network, and a lot of that's just like greasing hands and kissing babies, you know what I mean? And like, that's almost, I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that actually works, like when you look at the numbers, like, or at least the streams, like sometimes I feel like I have like genuine fans, but there's not always a direct boost from when you're going and you're performing at these shows and you're making a bunch of friends to, oh, now they're listening to my music. Now they actually genuinely are supportive of me. I think like what I've noticed is a lot of that is just superficial, you know. And so it's like, how do we get to the point where now we're exposing ourselves to a larger audience, and we have like leverage in real life, and both of those things have to mix, you know. And I think to some extent, like, you can make friends and those do find yourself in the bigger doors, like those are impactful, but are you respected for your art?
Yeah,
you know.
I think this is huge what you're talking about, honestly. And I think as an artist as well, I know that this is something we always, you know, all of us struggle with.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, I'm out there working my ass off, trying to create a name for myself. I'm out there shaking the hands, playing the shows, meeting these people, but are they really listening to me? Are they really, like you said, are they being genuine? Or is it all just lip service? Like, at the end of the day, are they going home and listening to my music? Are they talking about it to their friends? Like, what is it that's going to be that magic mineral that's going to push me through? And that's the hard part too, is because there's the platforms and the ways that we have to get ourselves out there now. Is it respectful, or is it just how much do we have to like break ourselves down and, you know, oh, let me make this silly reel so you pay attention to me, but really my intention is for you to listen to my music. That it's crazy. This like
the attention economy is different. It's really different, and it's been taxing if honest to like try to figure it out. But that's every artist right now. So
this is huge what you're touching on, because I think that there's, I mean, not just yourself, not just myself, but so many artists are struggling with this. Because we're artists, but then we have to play this game. I mean, I feel like that's exactly our society right now.
And what effect does that have on the art? You know, like I feel like there's so many. I think the way that economy, the attention economy works, is it's forcing certain types of art to be uplifted. And I think there's a bunch of artists who are doing really critically interesting things
that aren't being seen
because it takes so much more machinery, right?
And real artists are like, I don't want to play your game, I just want you to see my art. That's huge.
It's like, how do you get that coverage? But you know, we don't need me to complain for now.
No, but it's good. It's a conversation that needs to be had. And I know that you know, that's so relatable for everybody, people listening, that needs to be talked about. It's like, we need to figure out, you know, I think we all need to get together and like figure that out or create our own stream, you know? Oh man. So take me back to when, because I was listening to Marathon, which is fantastic. I love it. You can put it on in your car and just drive down the street, or you can put it on to get in a good mood. It's just one of those good vibey songs. What was the process of writing that song for you?
So Chloe and I had driven up to Moreno Valley to work with a couple of friends. One of those being Nishan. And then we had another session with Barry Juice and John Mayer and Eric Dark. But the first session is how we got this on. Nishan turned on a couple of beats, or he started trying to turn on beats. And then the first one we landed on was this one. And then we just kind of wrote, laid down some rough vocals, or rough vocals. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in the studio, so
a little scratch track.
And most of the time it ends up being so much more than a scratch track. So like for this song, for instance, I think we had probably had I had one more addition post the first recording. I layered the chorus a little bit, which is really just like ad-libs on the chorus. And then other than that, there was no other additions from my part. And then Chloe had reworked some of her vocals, and so you get a lot of those stacks, and the arrangement shifts like slightly because of the impact of her. And then we also added a bass line. So, but that was a process for about, I want to say it was about 2 years. We had to get the balances from Nishan. That took us about like 5 months, just trying to like figure out the schedules, figure out who's going to mix, you know, the life stuff is happening. And then once we got those, then I took it to Sabi. Sabi adds the bass line. Then life stuff happens again. We're trying to get in sync with Chloe, because our schedules are different, and she has a bunch of stuff going on. I have a bunch of different stuff going on. And then we get Chloe in, and then we do everything we need to do. She adds to those vocals, and then Mitchell wants to retake his verse. So it's just like there's music's like this journey. I feel like I was listening to the Freddie Gibbs project recently, and he made a direct acknowledgement of somebody he said who just died. It was a rapper who just passed, and he like shouts them out, right? And I remember I was listening to that, and I was like, damn, like that happened like 2 months ago, and this is on the project. I can't like it's wild. Like it's wild to see that some songs are gonna take you like maybe 2 or 3 years just to release or finish, or 5 or 6 months or 5 minutes, like, and then there's some songs that are gonna take 5 minutes, comparatively. So, this song just went through so much to get to where it was a marathon to get it there.
A true marathon.
So, I'm hoping life and music as a whole isn't as much of a marathon. Yeah.
Well, it's worth a listen, so everybody should go listen to Marathon.
Yeah,
it's
go
really,
check
really
it out.
good.
Shouts out to Chloe. Shouts out to Mitchell James. They're great artists.
Yeah, they're great on there. And then you're also working on a current album, correct?
Yes. I guess it's like my first time publicly talking about it because there's usually not a microphone in my face. Or
well, now there is. So you can share it on all the platforms. We're getting it out there.
It's called Idle Grooves. It's a 9-song. I guess it's like an LP. Executive produced by Hiram Torres. A lot of like high BPM songs, a little bit more experimental, some rap and dance music that we started back in, at this point, like 2 years ago.
Oh wow, okay.
Probably 2.5-ish, because I just met Hiram in the top half of 2021, because that's when I dropped my first project, and then. One of the songs from our first session happened probably like 2 months after I met him, so I'd say like March of 2021, or March of 2022, is on the project. So it's been a long time in the coming. It's a bunch of songs that I recorded in my bedroom with somebody who's now like my best friend. So it's been a journey. So I hope I can get it out at some point soon. But
it'll get out there.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. you're about 2.5 years. Let's go, my friend. Let's go. So tell me, you have a very fabulous style.
Thank you so much.
I noticed that last time I was here. So how do you maintain your unique personality and your style and authenticity when you're performing on stage?
I think so much of my stage presence is just like my sarcasm personified, just like the small parts of me. I think I'm pretty cheeky naturally as a person.
I like that, cheeky. That's a good one.
And so now it's just lots of those reps. I've probably had close to 50-60 shows within the last 2 years. Either from, which is funny, like based off of how we started our conversation, right? But so I probably find out about a show like at least once a month, like a week before. Sometimes it's like 2 days before. So it's just like all those reps.
Oh my goodness, getting thrown on there.
Just all the reps. We so many reps. Like a performance half of the time isn't like I'm trying to put more passion into it, but a lot of times it's just a rep. You just kind of, somebody tells you, here's the show. You just show up and you do what you got to do. A lot of times that's not even with rehearsal. A lot of times it's like my sets are like, it's a 25 to 30 minute set that I made up 2 minutes before I got on the stage, and those songs are memorized and you're just comfortable with it and you're flowing and then you just talk a little bit of shit in between it, Yep. Yeah. So I guess there's not much preparation that goes into like the personality, and I wish there was more. Like I feel like there's some performers who have so much structure in their shows and that's to their benefit. And I've been trying to figure out ways to bring more structure into it. I feel like so much of it is like comedy.
Maybe that natural flow of things is your style. Like you don't have to like think about it, so it's more natural and it doesn't look staged, Yeah,
but then the issue is when you get in a situation where you're anxious, right? Like it's like now you're forcing shit, right? And so
how do you get over your butterflies though? Do you have do you have like do you meditate before you go on, or do you have a shot, or you have a tea, or what's your...
I wish I could tell you I had something. Like I'm sober now, so the shot's out the picture.
You don't necessarily have to have alcohol.
No, I know.
Have like some tea, or like,
I love tea. I wish that like there's no centering myself. There's just... recently it's because I don't have as much time to rehearse. It'll be like me and whoever my DJ is or my friend. Like Hiram's probably my hype man, or Ben Berry. my guy Ben Berry. I don't feel like I've mentioned him. Ben Berry is like my right hand. We spent a lot of time together over the last couple of years. But
And what does he do? Is he
he's
work
a
on your
DJ.
mixes and stuff? Okay,
he's a DJ. He's primarily, so he's like my DJ on stage, my hype man on stage, and then just my guy. Hiram's like my producer who and also just consistent collaborator. But yeah, no, we don't really have a process. You kind of just like jump into it, and especially at the structure of a lot of these shows that I've done is like, oh, my friend's rapping, cool. I'm gonna go hype man them, and then I'm gonna go, and then what I usually try to do is like settle in. I might just ramble and talk a little bit of shit to the crowd, and if the crowd's not fucking with me, then I just rap, But no real pre-planned or like real structure or process to it. I might stretch a little bit if I'm on the stage.
A little warm up.
A little warm up. You know what I mean?
Would you say you're pretty active on stage? You run around a lot. Are you really interactive with your audience?
Yeah, I'm super active.
Because I only got to see your curate. I haven't got to see you live, which I want to see.
I can show you some footage afterward, know. But I'm really, really active.
Good.
It's a lot of dancing. It's a lot of heckling the crowd. It's a mixture of a bunch of stuff. So because of that, it's weird that like some of it's like freestyle, a lot of it's just like spontaneous, but I'm just making it up as I go. Which is
That's
most
good,
of my
though.
stage presence. Yeah.
I think too it might help too because you do a lot of curating of shows.
Yeah.
So it's flying off the cuff. It's like a lot of improv and stuff like that. You're working with what you got. You're working the room. You know how to like read a room probably. So that is helping too with your stage show.
Yeah, it's great. I feel like my stage presence is a mixture of like, and this could be a stretch, but like comedy and a little bit of like dancing. And then of course like quality music, right? So I've been trying to figure out how to like actually write jokes. Most of the time they're freestyled and I'm just like taking random shots at people in the crowd and
you're all, did that one fly?
Yeah, like that's so entertaining to me too. Like when I bomb or something goes over somebody's head, that almost gives me like more joy, especially in the joking part of it. Like I think the funny part of curating, for me, curating is I'm just hosting, I'm emceeing, right? And so when I'm doing that, I'm really just making shit up as I go. Yeah. Like, and I don't know who I'm gonna transition into or if I'm gonna transition into something. So now it's just, what am I gonna talk about? I don't know. So I look at somebody in the room and try to take a random shot and see if it goes anywhere. Yeah. Make a joke and see if it goes anywhere. And it's a lot of that. But to fully answer your question, for the style, I do a lot of, I am a thrifter through and through. I only buy my pants from Levi's. Shoes are all from Vans. And then it's a lot of hand-me-downs. And yeah, pretty much all hand-me-downs are thrifted or not really vintage, because if it's more than $30 and it's old, it's crazy to me that I'm spending so much money on it. So
I feel the same. Vintage got out of
vintage like is out of hand.
They put vintage in front of it, and you're like, "Full, I can get this at Goodwill for like
Goodwill
$5."
$5. I walk out of a Goodwill and spend $30 and get like 5 or 6 pieces. Why am I spending more than that for one piece?
Oh man, I went to this little shop. It was a few weeks ago. And I was like, oh, I'll just stop in, I'm going to get like a cute shirt or something like that. It was like $65 for a t-shirt.
It was like, what are we doing, babes? What are we doing?
I can go to the thrift store and get this for like $5. Go away.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, thanks. Not going to do it.
So I'd rather just get my hand-me-downs and all the free stuff that I can get. Because that's my goal. I am a capitalist in the ironic sense, just because like if it's not cheap, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like there's just so much more you can do with your time and your money than spending $50 to $60 on clothes. Like shoes are already expensive enough, so it's just
it's out of control. Oof. So okay, on that tip of as far as like entertaining and everything like that, how do you handle criticism?
I love critiques.
I love it.
I love critiques. So there's a story, I've done like a couple of interviews. There's one that I did a year or so ago with IA Chrome, and I tell this story about my college professor when I was first performing, and my style has always kind of been rust. I feel like I barely learned cadence and just flow and the basics of that when I was like in my sophomore junior year. And so my professor walks up to me after a show. I felt like I killed it, and she was like, all right, either you're gonna figure out how to do this spoken word shit, or you're gonna learn how to like rap. And if you want to rap, you need to focus on that. If you want to do the spoken word, you need to focus on that. And here's who you could go study. And that changed a lot. So a lot of it's like when I get off the stage, it's usually pretty uncomfortable for me. One, because I'm personifying myself. Two, because I'm so critical. So like I'm reading the crowd. I'm reading whether or not like how my mics were gained up, how it's just a bunch of critiques. And so I take criticism on pretty well, if it's constructive, and but I'm also critiquing myself a lot. So I love criticism.
I love that, because if you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing as an artist, and you can't take that in, and I mean, not all criticism you're like, oh, okay. Some you're like, okay, thanks, yeah, okay, move on. But there are some of those genuine, you know, opinions and things that you're like, okay, I'm gonna marinate on that, and I'm gonna see what I can do with it. And if it's working for me, yeah, maybe I'll change something up, or maybe I'll, you know, go about something differently. That's huge as an artist. You have to be able to do that.
Yeah, I like to think I'm pretty coachable, and like I think so much of why this album that I'm so proud of, that's gonna come out at some point.
Soon, very soon.
Fingers crossed.
I'm just gonna send you all the good juju. Let's go.
But the reason why I'm so proud of it is because I have friends that push me, right? And like I think it's important to have somebody be like, no, you could do better. Do it again. Like to not just stop at the basics. Like we used a little bit of auto-tune on this project because that was something that Hiram.
Stop that right now.
I know autotune's crazy.
Stop it right
I was
now.
so anti autotune. So anti autotune.
Stop it right now.
When we first started, I was like, no, turn that shit off, right? Like, but like we used it, and I think I taught in using it. I learned how to use my voice better, and learned how to like stay on pitch, right? And
maybe it helped you know where you need to be.
Yeah,
and then you turned it off, right?
Yeah. I mean, we used it a lot during the project, but like ironically, I think in this era, hip hop is changing into something different because we're using these resources in a way that like isn't as helpful for the genre, or maybe it's shifting the perspective of like what we value in the genre. Me and my cousin talk about it all the time, but I think we have to figure out better ways to use the tools and also honor the key elements of it. Like right now, everything's shifted towards production, and I think we need to have great production that makes people feel, but we also need to have lyricism that is.
Oh, yes. Can we go back to lyrics, please?
I'm a rapper.
I love
rap. So
I love good rap.
Good rap.
But there's some rap I'm like, babe,
what are you doing?
you're just word salading me.
Like,
I don't even know. Like I want some substance.
I want to feel, right?
I want to know
think
what you're talking about.
The hard part is a lot of the genre has shifted away from feeling, right?
Yeah,
like
I think nothing. It's just like, let me make some money real quick.
Right. And it's both ends, right? I think it's equally as toxic to have rappers who only rap and don't make interesting production decisions, right?
Yeah.
And then it's equally as toxic to see the people on the right who are just all auto-tune and all cadences and all feeling. And how can we merge that and bring something in the middle?
Yeah, happy
and,
medium. Good
right.
lyrics.
Not to both sides
Good
this, you know what I mean?
beats.
But like just like we need to push in that direction. And I think right now the genre has shifted. And I mean, hip hop's always been youth culture. Music has always been youth culture. But because of that lack of connection to the core principles of the genre and like where we come from, it's lost all connection to what I think are our core tenets, you know.
It's lost its heart, it's lost its rhythm, its soul.
But somebody loves it though, and that's the thing.
It is. Do they love it because it's good, or do they love it because it's different?
I think culture is defined by moments in time and place,
sure.
And sadly that means that this culture is being pushed in a direction that I don't necessarily recognize. But they love it because they've been hyped up, and part of my thought in the culture is derived in a time and a place is we live in an ecosystem that's defined by social media and algorithms, and that there's powers that be that gets to push those algorithms and hype stuff up. Like, we wouldn't have a 6ix9ine without having a bunch of bots that are hyping up some guy who doesn't actually have the validity that he said he did. You know what I mean? And so it's getting harder to track authenticity and real fan bases and like connection.
Yeah, because half the time they're just paying for it.
They're just paying for it.
You can go on and pay for thousands of followers, and then sure, that's going to push you forward.
Right.
But it doesn't say that it's good. It's not saying you're pushing out quality.
Right.
You're pushing out the money machine.
And it's not acknowledging the connection. And so now we're like, concerts have taken a hit, right? Because of this, how our social media ecosystem has taken us in this direction, you know, like now people don't know how to connect in the same way. Like, it's just a different world. Everything's for the camera, everything's the light, but you don't know how to dance when your favorite DJ's playing. You don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know how to sing along to the song.
Put the phone down.
Put the phone down, babes. Like we can be here. I want
so badly for people to just be in the moment.
Watch the entertainer who's in front of you. But then that's also why we have shitty entertainers. Like, there's a lack of people who know how to do what Tyler can do, who know how to do what Chance could do. I think Travis is a form of the art form, but all he's doing is conducting a crowd. And yes, that's emceeing to some extent, but that's not entertainment, babes.
No, you're not putting a show on.
You're not putting a show on. And are we just gonna jump and let the music play behind us? Do we let Kanye? Do we let Ty Dolla $ign do those things where they just play music and then you just look at them?
Yeah,
like
it's not working
out. Have
we
lost the understanding of what it means to be in that environment and really put on a show?
Yeah, and that's why you see these old schoolers still killing it, because they know how to put on a show. They know
and they
how
can
to
sell tickets because of that.
Oh hell yeah! Because all day long, I'm gonna go see Ice Cube. All day long, I'm gonna go see Snoop, because I know I'm gonna get a good show. I'm gonna get what I'm paying for. These new guys, I'm like, I'll put on the Spotify.
Right, because they're gonna sing along. All they're gonna do is sing along to their songs and jump around, but they don't even know how to make you jump or make you feel. You just struck a chord. but,
oh no, trust me. We can chat about this all day.
I mean, me and my cousin complain about it all the time, but I think there's really a issue, because now there's rappers who don't even really rap. Like they don't even use autotune to sing or like actively interact with the music. So you're literally listening to a guy do karaoke, but like the music's still on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is, and that's so much of the value of our art form, is listening to somebody really evoke emotion, and you can see them go back and forth with their lyrics or their hype man, or like you can engage with them when they tell you to lift your hands and you're in the crowd. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you're hyped up by having to drink the Kool-Aid of whoever that person is, rather
100%.
than like just existing within a crowd.
If after a song you don't have some sort of emotion, that song is not for me at all. If
Music's
you're not
supposed to make us feel.
I either feel good, or I either feel pissed off, or I either want to start a riot, or I want to like change something.
Yeah.
That's how music should make you feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a difference. That's a huge difference between a recording artist and a performer. So all day long, you can go in the studio and make music. If you don't leave that studio and go out and give that music to the people, sure, go sit in your box. But what's going to push you out there and cut that line? It's a constant debate.
Struck a chord.
We went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, don't be sorry at all. These are all totally amazing things to talk about, and things that need to be talked about, because that's what's missing. The heart and soul is missing in music.
Yeah, agreed.
And all of that. So take me into your creative process a little bit. Give us a little peek behind the curtain. Like, where does this start for you?
I am excited by the possibility of not knowing what the outcome is going to be. So a lot of what happened, especially with this new project, is I'll be like, Hiram, here's this one sound that I thought was cool. I just want to make a song centered around this weird drum pattern, right?
Yeah.
And then exploring, right? Be like, oh, okay, cool. Now that we have that basis, what if we added this, or what if we did this, or what if we did that? And then after the whole beat's done, I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with this. Like,
like it's taking a whole left turn. Yeah,
I just got excited. I've made him do all this work. Now I have to come up with something to express what this makes me feel.
Yeah,
you know. And then I'm like, damn, these lyrics are hard to pull out, but I'm like, somehow they're coming out of me. And then now it's a whole song, right? Then we get to the performance side, and I'm just like, oh shit, I don't know how I'm gonna perform. This has so much autotune. Like, what am I like? What am I gonna do? Like, yeah. I'm terrified because it's one thing to express it, and then now you've expressed it. Then now, how do you bring it to the audience and make them feel it when in a live environment? So I think my creative process is a lot of that, like just exploration of the what if, like, and yeah, that's the whole thing. Even when I'm just writing by myself, it's like I don't know what I'm gonna write about. It's not like I sit down and I think, oh, I'm sad today about this one thing, and so I'm gonna try to write about this one thing. And if I've ever done that, then it usually doesn't work. Half of the time, I'm like stuck, like picking at myself because like I can't seem to express what I want to express. But instead, it's just what's in the space and how do I just make myself a conduit and receiver for all this energy that's being channeled, and then capture the moment and then try to push through, which is how you get Marathon and everything else that I've written. But I'd say that's how my creative process is. I
like that. Yeah, because if you force it, you're like, oh, that's garbage.
Yeah, and it's okay what? If it's garbage, but it's just like you gotta like. I'm so anti trying to reproduce something that somebody else has already done. You know?
Oh, thank you.
Just like, why can't we start again? Why can't we just do what we feel anyway? You know, and push into uncharted lands. I know that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. Like, I think. My favorite songs are songs that I cried. My favorite songs are songs that I was like, ooh, I don't know if I should be saying this because I'm not even comfortable with it myself. Yeah. Like, I was telling my friend last night about my song Stimulus, which like the opening line of the first verse is, what's going on in my head, I wish I could tell you about. I'm so forgetful, so I'm acting horny instead. That feels uncomfortable for me to say if I'm in front of an audience that I don't know if it's a Christian friendly audience, or if it's like there might be somebody who's a little youthful, or my mother's in the crowd. I'm like, that's like, ooh, spicy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and so like I feel like every time you create should be that, damn, I'm being very honest with this audience and myself, and that's hard. A little bit of fear. Yeah. Like if you have to be able to admit truths to yourselves, right? And I die and live again to admit these things to myself that I didn't even know were true, and I'm doing it in a way that like, all right, cool, I'm not sure if I should release this, or I'm not sure if I should record this, or you know what I mean? Like, it just has to, you just kind of have to keep pulling, and even if you're ashamed of it, like just talking about it, like, and dealing with your fears on paper or through your instrument it's such a beautiful experience, and so I'm always pursuing that and trying to elevate slowly, you know.
Yeah, you completely encapsulated what it's like to write a song. It's so completely, it's the most scary, messy, weird, exciting, a little bit dangerous thing you'll ever do.
Yeah,
completely.
So dangerous.
Yeah.
So dangerous.
Yeah, because you're like, ooh, is anybody gonna like it? Are they gonna relate to it? Or are they gonna be like, what the fuck?
The whole time. There's this song called Stuck that's on my next project, and I remember, because it's about a year old at this point, right? When we first made it, I was like, shit, like, I don't know who's gonna listen to damn, I don't know who's gonna listen to this, you know? And then I'd create all these disclaimers before I showed it to people, because it was like, fuck, I know it's weird. I know it's weird. Like I know you don't have to like it. Like, it's fine. Like it's.
And people probably loved it, huh?
And they love it, but like, I'm like, damn, I'm so like, I'm scared of this. I've gotten more confident about it now, but like, here's this leap of faith I'm taking because I needed to express this, and I wanted to explore, you know. And then you slowly get more and more bold or emboldened when you do it more often, you know. and you jump into the water and you're doing weird shit like Future did on that one song with Kendrick where he's like like it's like why are you doing that? But now people love it.
Kendrick Lamar in general. It's funny because I'm absolutely obsessed with Kendrick, and I'll listen to it. My husband's like, "You like that guy?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm obsessed." Amazing. First of all, his lyrics are incredible. The weird shit he does with his voice, I don't know. I'm just obsessed because it's different, and you don't hear that a lot lately. You hear the same shit all the time, but I love it. And I think that's an artist where he's like, "Fuck, I'm gonna do my thing, and if you like it, cool. If you don't, I don't care." And that, if I can give anybody any advice in this game, do you all day and be 100% you, because you're gonna find your tribe. Your tribe is gonna come to you, and they're gonna love you for it because they're like, "Oh, this person doesn't give a fuck. They're doing it. They're doing their thing," and you're gonna find those people because they appreciate that. They appreciate that different. All day long.
I'm dying for that type of honesty and authenticity within music, and I think the people who are succeeding right now are those people, like the Tylers, the Billy, the like we don't need the pristine version of shit anymore, you know? And so I feel like there's been a surge previously of people who are just kind of like filling in like the copy and paste modes of shit.
They're very safe. They do what the producers tell them to do. Like, and it's
like you need to try some shit. Do different. Just be bold. And so I'm hoping that there's more artists like that who are willing to be that vulnerable. Like I think that's where art needs to go. And I think if we do that, we'll restore ourselves back to just greatness. You know,
the art will come back.
The art will come back. Art. I think art is the most important thing. Like music and rap is the most important thing to try shit and be artful. You know,
So if you can give at this point in your career, and you gotta get that album out. We know that's on the forefront, but your goal for like the next 2 years. I always say 2 years because 5 years, we're way off. Let's go 2. What's your 2-year goal?
So thank you for calling it a career. That's so kind of you.
You're working. Are you working your ass off?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a career.
Yeah, I do this
it doesn't have to make you money. It makes your soul happy. Yeah. It's your career.
Okay, yeah. So I think my goal for my career in this next 2 years, I will really, of course, get the album out. That's the first step. I would love to go on tour in a way that makes sense. I've seen some of my peers go on tour, and I admire them so much because they did. Shouts out to Damage. I think she's so bold, and Snow Xavier. Like I look at the moves they're making, and it excites me. But I want to go on tour. I want to be a full-time performing artist, and I want it to make sense. And that's the terrifying part, because right now there's so much security in my life with having like a full-time job and moving in that way. And luckily I live with my parents, so it's not as risky. But I want to have enough listeners to travel and check out new places, and I want to be respected as an artist and as a performer. At least nationally, that is my main goal. I don't want to. Fingers crossed, there's a way to have a middle ground for that, where you can be in the studio consistently and perform at bigger shows all the time and rehearse, and still not be huge. Because I would hate to be Ice Spice out the gate. But I just want to perform. I want to be an entertainer full time. I think that's like my goal for the next 2 years. I haven't right now. That's just like trying to make sure this project is pristine and making sure my rollout is pristine, and trying to be patient with myself with that. But my goal is just to be able to entertain and be an honest and vulnerable voice for everything that is to come.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what's needed, especially in the next couple of years. Just having bold voices who are willing to be vulnerable and push back on not only the status quo, but the bullshit that's going on, you know?
100%.
In a way that's like reflective of the direction that society's moving. Like I think Kendrick did a great job with that with Mr. Moron and the Big Steppers. I think like he pushed, and not everybody was down for it, not everybody like understood it, but he was having an honest critique and being in conversation with where society is and where he is. And I think that's what I desire to be in the next 2 years.
I love that. I'm here for that. All of that.
Fun.
So on another subject.
Okay.
I always ask my lovely interviewees, what is your favorite scary movie?
I am a bitch, so I don't have one.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what is your favorite genre of movies?
I'm a okay, so thrillers / rom-coms.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have a favorite though?
Favorite genre? No,
No,
it's both.
favorite scary movie. You said thriller.
Oh yeah, no, like I guess, I mean, if The Purge is classified as a scary movie,
I think so.
I'd
Scary
say
is-
The Purge
I think it's
is
pretty fucking scary.
I feel like that's not a scary movie. Like, it doesn't give me nightmares. So that's is I think as a concept, it's kind of wild to see. It feels too close to reality for me.
Yeah.
But I love, like, The Purge. I think is a great film. So The Purge, but also like just kind of like those dark comedies. So like, Sorry to Bother You is like one of my favorite movies for a while. Just kind of, and that feels scary to me. Like, if living in a reality that like is that unserious and lacks irony, is a terrifying concept. But yeah, I like satire. I like big comedies. So like suspenseful shit. So, but that's not a genre. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a genre. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time. It has been
No worries.
fabulous talking to you. I could rap to you about music all night long. So it was a pleasure.
I enjoyed it.
I will see you again soon. And then when is your next show?
No clue. I'll figure out sometime this week or next week.
Well, everybody needs to stay tuned.
Yeah,
Yes, you
yeah.
got shows
Hiram's
coming up.
playing a show this Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to come out fast enough for it. Probably not. But check my Instagram. I post about it. I probably won't find out
We'll put
about
all the
it
links
until a week prior.
to
So.
all of your stuff because we have to see you out there.
But
Get out there. Get to LA. Come play some shows with us.
I would love to. Let me know.
Awesome. All right. Take care of you, and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank
I
you.
get so impatient, I'm pacing in my room like when will I pop? So corny, overused almost on my 9 to 5 grind. Can't sleep but I'm tired. Neither who saw, who thought that I'd be here if you saw where I start. Felt so defeated, now I'm featured on stuff like this beat by the shine and playing on playlists on your Spotify. Spot me in public, please come and say hi. Taking my pictures because I'm a star. That's in my future, my car need a jump to go like 2 miles, so stuck in a rut. I rule this land like my name is Tut. Girls